Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, where rivers glistened like silver and mountains rose tall and proud, there lived a princess whose beauty was admired by all. She had hair as soft as silk, eyes as bright as the morning sky, and a voice like gentle bells. Yet despite her grace and charm, the princess carried a sadness that no crown or treasure could cure. She walked through golden halls and gardens full of roses, but her face remained solemn. The people of the kingdom called her the princess who never smiled. The king and queen loved their daughter dearly. They offered her music, jewels, and grand feasts, but nothing could lift the heaviness in her heart. And so, though the castle was full of splendor, it often felt quiet and cold, because joy could not be found within its walls. Every morning the sun rose above the towers of the palace, painting the skies in orange and pink. The courtiers would bow, musicians would play, and the princess would step into the hall. She would nod politely but never laugh. The queen whispered to her husband one day, "Our child has everything yet feels empty. What is missing from her heart?" The king frowned, worried. Perhaps she has not yet discovered what happiness truly means. We must help her find it. And so the king invited performers from across the land. Jugglers tossed bright balls into the air. Acrobats danced in the great hall. Magicians pulled doves from their hats. The princess watched with her hands folded, her eyes calm, her lips still. The performers bowed and left disappointed, for the princess had not smiled. One evening, as the moon rose above the palace, the princess sat alone by her window. She gazed at the stars and whispered softly, "Why does joy escape me? Why does my heart feel heavy even though the world gives me so much?" Her reflection in the glass looked back at her, quiet and pensive. At that moment, the princess made a brave decision. "I must leave the palace. I must go beyond these walls to discover what happiness truly is. Perhaps out there among the people, I will find the answer." And so early the next morning, she dressed in simple clothes, cloaked her royal gown beneath a plain cloak, and slipped quietly from the palace gates. The princess walked through meadows and forests, her slippers dusted with earth, her cloak brushing against tall grasses. The old woman at the well in a small village, she came upon an old woman carrying a heavy bucket of water from the well. The bucket wobbled, and the woman trembled beneath its weight. Without hesitation, the princess ran forward. "Let me help you, grandmother." Together they lifted the bucket. The princess steadied it in her arms and carried it to the woman's cottage. The woman's eyes sparkled with gratitude. "Thank you, child. Few stop to help me these days. You have a kind heart." The princess felt a warmth in her chest, something small but new. Later, she found a young boy sitting beneath a tree, clutching his stomach. His clothes were torn, and his eyes were tired. "Are you hungry?" the princess asked gently. The boy nodded. The princess had only a loaf of bread she had taken for her journey. Without thinking, she broke it in half and placed it in the boy's hands. The boy's eyes widened and he smiled, a bright, genuine smile. "Thank you, kind sister," he said between bites. For the first time, the princess felt her lips curve upward just slightly. She had never known how sweet it was to see someone else happy because of her. As evening fell, the princess heard soft cries near a thicket. She pushed aside the branches and found a small bird with a broken wing. She gently picked it up, wrapped it in her scarf and whispered, "Do not fear, little one, I will take care of you." The bird nestled against her warmth, trusting her. The princess carried it carefully, her heart swelling with tenderness. Days passed, and the princess continued her journey, helping strangers wherever she could. Slowly, her sadness began to soften, replaced with a quiet light. One afternoon, as she approached another village, dark clouds gathered overhead. Thunder rolled across the sky, and heavy rain began to pour. The river nearby rose dangerously, flooding toward the cottages. Villagers rushed about, shouting in fear. Children cried, and families tried to save their belongings. The princess, though frightened, stepped forward. "We must work together. Gather stones, build a barrier, save your homes." Her voice rang with determination. The villagers, inspired, followed her lead. The princess helped carry stones, her cloak soaked, her hair plastered to her face. She lifted children to safety and guided the weak to higher ground. Through the storm, she worked with all her strength. At last, the villagers built a wall strong enough to hold back the rushing waters. The storm subsided, and the village was saved. Exhausted, the princess sat on the ground. The people gathered around her, their faces shining with gratitude. "You saved us," they said. "You are our hero." In that moment, the princess felt something extraordinary. Her heart was full, overflowing with joy. And then it happened. She smiled. Not a small smile, not a forced one, but a bright, radiant smile that lit her face like the sun after the rain. News of a mysterious young woman who saved a village spread quickly. Soon, it reached the palace. The king and queen sent their guards, and they found the princess among the villagers, smiling for the very first time. When she returned to the palace, the court gasped in wonder. The musicians played, the bells rang, and for once the castle was filled with laughter, her laughter. The king embraced her. "My daughter, what has changed? What secret have you discovered?" The princess smiled softly. "I have learned that happiness is not in gold or jewels, not in banquets or songs. Happiness comes from kindness, from giving, from helping others. When I gave to those in need, I received joy greater than any treasure." The queen wiped tears from her eyes. "Then you are not only our princess, you are the heart of our kingdom." From that day forward, the princess dedicated herself to her people. She opened schools for children, built homes for the poor, and cared for the sick. She visited villages not as a distant royal, but as a friend, a helper, and a guide. The people loved her not only for her beauty, but for her compassion. She became known as the princess who brought happiness wherever she went. And whenever she smiled, it was no longer rare or uncertain. It was the smile of someone who had discovered life's greatest secret. That true joy is found in giving, not in keeping. And so, dear my friend, the story of the sad princess teaches us a simple truth. Happiness cannot be bought or demanded. It is born in acts of kindness, in the warmth of love, and in the light we bring to others' lives. Just as the princess discovered her joy by helping those around her, so too can we find happiness in small acts of compassion every day. And now, imagine her smile, gentle and kind, lighting up the night sky like the moon. May it remind you that your own happiness can shine brightest when shared.